spent the night away from home under the pretext of a special patrol. He returned, ignorant of the morning's events. He came in smiling, in that measured walk of his, waddling along. He approached Felix and asked him the classic question: "Now then, how goes it?" Felix did not reply, and merely made a sign with his hand. The policeman entered. When he had come near, Felix said to him, in a low voice, that he had something very serious to tell him. But first of all he insisted that Bernardo go and bring his large knife. "Why that, Felix? What do you want to do with a knife?" asked the other. The old man smiled mysteriously. "Quick, my boy, I'll tell you afterwards, and you'll see that my story will be worth the trouble." "All right, I'll get it," replied the officer. And a minute later he was back with the knife, which he gave to the invalid. "Now," continued the latter, "go and close the door, so that nobody will hear. Close it well and turn the key." Bernardo felt some mistrust at all this mystery, but knowing for certain that the helpless old man could do him no harm, he obeyed, curiously waiting to learn what the other was up to. "So you want to tell me now?" "Not yet. Here, first put this watch in your pocket." And the old man drew from his pocket an ancient nickel watch, which he gave to the cabra. "What am I to do with this, Felix?" asked the mulatto. "Keep it, I tell you," was the reply. "The old duffer is crazy for sure," thought Bernardo, nevertheless doing as he was told. Then, seeing in what manner the invalid had grasped the knife, he discreetly withdrew a few paces. Well, almost immediately Felix made a sudden movement that caused his pain to increase anew, and he began to groan, to utter most terrible cries, almost shrieks. "I'm dying! I'm dying!" Bernardo had never heard such awful groaning. His mistrust grew, and seeing that the old man still clutched the knife, he thought the invalid would kill him if he should attempt to approach. He therefore again stepped back a few paces and awaited developments, persuaded that he had a lunatic in front of him. The groaning became louder and louder, so that it was easily to be heard outside. Finally the cabra, tired of waiting, said, "I'll be back right away, Felix," and he was about to leave. Brusquely the old man uncovered his own breast, and with a rapid movement, right over the heart, he thrust in the blade with all his might, up to the hilt. Not a drop of blood spurted out, the thick blade obstructing the wound. His face convulsed with an expression of excruciating torment. His hanging arms grew rigid. The officer rushed to the door, opened it, called for help, and returned to pull the knife from the wound and to see whether it was yet possible to save the unfortunate man. Men and women, wildly excited, ran up to the house crying loudly, and seeing this man with a long knife whence the blood was dripping, seeing also the pierced breast of old Felix, the whole populace rushed upon Bernardo, disarmed him, crying, "Kill him! Kill him!" Bernardo was punched and kicked and cudgeled from one infuriated person to the other in the crowd, and led to the police station by a multitude which every moment waxed greater and more threatening. Several months later the trial came to an end. Bernardo was sentenced to hard labor for life. Nobody would believe his story. The proofs were overwhelming. Had he not been caught red-handed? The presence of the nickel watch in his pocket indicated sufficiently that the motive of the crime was robbery. The vengeance of old Felix had been well calculated. The result was there. The old man had conquered. End of section 4.